Hi everybody, this is the Alarm Doctor here again. I've been on a little video hiatus here because I've been trying to get ready for some of the flea markets that I go to during the summer this year. And while I was doing that, I thought, well, maybe a video on things to look for when you're out there at the flea markets to see if you're getting a good deal or not might not be a bad idea. So I decided to come up with this one, and I hope it helps. I know a lot of guys are looking for a register and take-up reel to put in their display. So what I thought I would do is run through some of the different era of punch registers and take-up reels. And so I thought I would also show, what would be the correct take-up reel, the era correct take-up reel for the punch register. So the first one I have here is the earliest one that I have, and it's a circle punch register, and you can tell it's very early because, as you can see, there is no nameplate on the front. The name and serial number, etc., is actually stamped right in the side plate. Another tip that this is a very old register is the fact that the supply reel mounts on the front back of the register and not up here on top like some of the later registers do. Also, you can see that there is no provision for a punch cup. There's actually just a small hole here in the base. So this circle punch register is very early. So if you look at the take-up reel, this is a banjo or open gear take-up reel. I know it has several different names, but as you can see, there's a lot of little parts that sometimes are missing when you're going to get one of these take-up reels. There's a counterbalance weight here. Sometimes this arm is totally missing. So you got to look your things over really closely to see if you're actually getting a good deal, or that everything is there. Something else to check for on these old registers is the pivot hole covers. Sometimes you'll buy these registers and you'll see the hole for the screw, but the actual cover is missing. Also, turn the register over. Make sure that the coil set is in the bottom and that the armature tension spring is there. Another thing on these registers is they should have the knurled hold down screws for the glass cover wedges. One tip to remember on registers is that if it's brass, the covers should be glass. Nice rhyme. Brass and glass. So and the reason I'm doing this video is so that somebody has a set price on their register set, and you're looking at it and you're thinking, well, this has got plastic instead of glass, or the punch cover is missing, the actual punch lever cover is missing, or it's not the correct take-up reel for this era of register. Now, the reason I tell you all this stuff is so that you can, in your mind, say to yourself, well, is it worth paying this amount of money for this register? Or should I try to dicker with this guy a little bit and see if I can get him down some? One thing about dickering and flea markets, etc., be tactful. And the perfect example of that is one year at Allentown, I had a really nice stamped steel, older, probably from the 50s, ladder truck that I was selling, toy. Gentleman came up to me, saw the price I had on it, and say, can you do a better price on this? And I told him, no. I said, I would really like to get this amount of money out of it, and I'm not going to drop the price right now. Well, he got a little bit snooty and says, well, hey, I said, I thought brother firefighters were supposed to help out other brother firefighters. So I looked at him and I said, where do you work? So he told me the state and the city that he worked in. I said, okay. I said, I'm a professional firefighter from the state of West Virginia. I said, we don't have collective bargaining for public employees in the state of West Virginia. You do. I said, so I can tell you right now that you make twice as much money as I do for the same job, same rank, same amount of years service. I said, so why don't you help a brother out and pay me more than I'm asking? Well, he looked at me kind of funny and he walked away. So, you know, don't walk up to a guy and say, you know, hey, this is missing, this isn't right, blah, blah, blah. Don't do that. Use this in your mind just to say, okay, yeah, this is worth paying this type of money for, or no, it's not. So let's go on to the little bit newer era punch register and take up reel. Okay, this is what I would consider the next era of the circle punch register and take up reel. As you can see, the design's changed a little bit. If you're very lucky, you can find one of these registers with this extension base on it that the cup goes in and sits on top of here. This was a Gamewell option. Most of the time you find these though without this, and you just have the regular standard base. One of the other things to look for is to make sure, of course, that you have a punch cup. That adds to the value. As you can see, the punch lever cover is on this register. And here again, like I said from the last one, the supply reel has moved to the top of the register. A couple other little things to look for, as you can see, the tag is on the front here. But, and I know it's hard to see, but there should be a sleeve on this winding lever for the paper to ride around. That is missing. So that is something to look for, to see if it's there or not. Also, this is a brass register, so again, the covers should be glass. And all the other tips are the same as far as the register goes, the pivot covers, coil set, etc. Now, this is what I consider the era correct take-up reel. Now I know it's missing the reel, etc., but right here's the key for me. Right here is the ID tag. It's curved. It goes underneath right here, and it says the Gamewell Company. There is no large tag on the back. So that would make, in my opinion, that would make this this take-up reel a mate for this style register. Another thing to check, which I didn't mention before, of course, is to make sure that the mainspring's not broken in this. That's pretty easy to check by winding. And also something to check on registers, and this is all registers, is if you turn the winding shaft here and it spins freely, most likely the spring is either come off or broken in the center. If you wind this, and it does wind up somewhat, but you continuously hear a rumbling sound as you wind it, more than likely the mainspring is broken, and it's broken on the outside edge. Now, it's fixable, but you know, it's a major pain. You have to take the register completely apart, take the spring drum apart, pull the spring out, and repunch the end of the spring, and it can be quite a process. The other thing to remember on these also is that one thing that makes or breaks the value sometimes for me is the fact that if there's winding keys with this or not. Now, in the previous register and take-up reel that I showed you, you got to remember that on the older take-ups, this winding shaft takes a different size key than the winding shaft for the register. So you have to have two keys. So that's something to keep in mind when you're talking about pricing, etc., as far as what you're willing to pay for a register and take-up reel set. So let's go to the next era.